Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we end chapter 5 and get into chapter 6 in our reading today, we find Paul addressing various relationships. And he gets very practical with the way that we are to engage in these different relationships. And it's interesting how he uses our relationship with Christ, our relationship with God, as a means by which to inform us on how we should have relationships with one another. The wives are to be or view themselves as though in the church, as though a representation of the church, and to have a relationship with their husbands as the church has with Christ. And then the husbands are to have a relationship with their wives as Christ does with the church. You have the children to obey their parents, and tying in the commandment with the promise in connection to that. And then fathers not provoking their children to wrath, but raising them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And then slaves being obedient to their masters, as though they're not serving man, but actually serving Christ himself. And then lastly, the masters being kind to their servants and giving up threatening, knowing that both their master and yours is in heaven, and there's no partiality with him. So in all these different relationships, and it covers a vast amount, wife to husband, husband to wife, children to parents, fathers to children, masters to slaves, slaves to masters. In all these relationships, they can be seen and viewed through our relationship with God and be tied with a spiritual principle. And I think that's a wonderful thing that Paul does here as he talks about these different relationships. Because what this shows is that all of our lives, no matter what relationship we're talking about, no matter what endeavor we're engaged in, can be viewed through the lens of our relationship with God. And it can be seen through a spiritual way. As we are living under the lordship of Christ, as we're walking according to the Spirit, as we see ourselves as children of God, as obedient children to God, and as we engage in this world, in the various ways that we engage in various relationships and obligations, we can see that everything can be seen through the lens of our relationship with God, and ought to be seen through the lens of our relationship with God. And when we do that, for one, it makes our relationships better. It makes us a better wife or a better husband, a better child, a better child to our parents, a better parent to our children, a better worker, a better employer. But not only that, but it helps us to maintain a spiritual mindset. Because what we're doing is we're taking what would normally just be an ordinary relationship, an earthly relationship that we have here in the earth for a certain amount of time, but then plugging in the spiritual aspect and keeping our minds on the spiritual truths that we live by. And so it helps us to keep our minds centered on spiritual things, as well as make our relationships better. So as we read Ephesians chapter 6, and as we reflect on Ephesians chapter 5, let's make it our aim to look at every aspect of our lives through the spiritual lens, and to recognize that we can encounter the Lord, we can bring the Lord into the scriptures, into everything that we're doing in life. And it will help us to, one, have good, solid relationships, at least be a good person in our relationships, but it will also help us to maintain a spiritual mindset. So let's think about that today. With that, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.